Yep.
We are back here on First Things First with Sarah Kustok going viral. Check out this video SB Nation tweeted out. Rondo's game winner was from almost the exact spot he was shooting from with his son before the game. How adorable is that?
Isn't that awesome?
That's really
incredible.
Cool.
I mean, it's almost the exact spot. The footwork's not that different, where he's kind of falling back off one leg. That was so cool. And his little boy was with him right after the game.
Interview. Yeah, and Rajon had the biggest smile on his face when he saw his son. I love that.
That was great. That was cool. Really cool. You saw KG at the game wearing a Rondo Celtics jersey, which is really nice considering the way that team, that big four of him, Pierce, Allen, and KG, they didn't necessarily have the ending they wanted. That was really cool.
I was a little older, but I used to wonder on the court. There's a guy named, they called him Captain. I was in 10th grade, Kareem. Another guy they called Magic. Pretty good days. I was a little older than that on the court, yeah. My brother used to say, hey, don't be out there shooting. Don't talk to Kareem. I'll be out there doing drills with him shooting.
And the Lakers wanted to keep Butch, but they traded him to get this guy off their damn court. Screwed his whole time up, man. I got your back, Butch. Yeah. McDonald's All-American.
If I take Butch away from your two sources will be down to like a third, okay?
Sarah, let's talk NBA trade. The deadline came and went, and Anthony Davis remains a New Orleans Pelican. It just rolls off the tongue. And after considering shutting him down, New Orleans has decided to allow their star back into the lineup for the remainder of the season. The NBA office was reportedly worried about the optics of one of the league's brightest stars being forced to sit the bench. So, Sarah, where do you think this all now leaves Anthony Davis?
Well, I think it's positive for Anthony because he made it clear that he wanted to play. He's healthy now. He wants to be on the floor. So for him individually, as a player, the last thing you want to do is be sitting on the bench watching a team play, despite the fact that he doesn't want to be in New Orleans for the long term, for the future. I think for New Orleans, it's a scary situation. I mean, they are expecting a big load to bring back for their suitor, whoever they find that they want to make that trade with. So, given some of the injury history of Davis, it's something that you need to keep an eye on. But for the respect of the game, the integrity of the game, for what it would have done, I'm glad that he'll be playing.
And for Anthony Davis, he's in a tough situation. Because if you're an NBA player and you're a superstar, at some point you have to take control and direction of your career. Now, what's going on, there's a lot of people in the basketball world, they do not like it. There's a lot of people in the NBA office, general managers, teams, they don't like it. But this is the new normal. This is going to continue to happen because guys have seen you can be successful at it, even though you might not initially get sent to the same team. I just believe for Anthony Davis, I want him to stay in his routine. He's playing the best basketball of his career in the last year. Last year with DeMarcus Cousins, they lost him, and this year continued on that same arc. He still needs to continue to get better. Is it fair for him that he has to, in these last 30 games, 15 of those games could be played in New Orleans? Those fans, what they're going to be saying to him, because fans don't understand this new NBA and him wanting to take direction. So I'm better off hearing it on the court playing, where you hear less, compared to if you're in street clothes. Man, I couldn't imagine what the next couple months traveling around the NBA. I'm a healthy scratch, and I'm one of the top 5 players in the NBA. I don't think that AD wants that to be part of his brand.
Well, and Anthony Davis was very careful to not say, I demand to be traded by the deadline. He said, I'm not going to sign the extension, and I am requesting a trade. And he's been clear, if I'm not traded, I want to play. You can't be against tanking in the NBA and then criticize the Pelicans for playing him. But it is risky. It is risky, by the way, even if he's healthy. Because his trade stock, it's not like he can do more to improve his trade value.
Then they should have traded him. If that's what they're worried about, then they should have traded him.
Well, unless they think
if they thought they could sit him and not play.
How many real offers did they have?
They couldn't trade with Boston. I mean, I feel like the fact that they couldn't trade with Boston until July.
Right. The reason they didn't trade him was 2 names. Zion Williamson and Jason Tatum. They are holding out hope that the Knicks win the lottery, because the Knicks are the only team I feel that could win the lottery.
At a 14% chance.
At a 14% chance. Well, that's the roll of a dice almost. Like roll a die today when you get home or if you're at home right now, see if you can guess it. That's about a 1 in 6 chance. 14% is really 1 in 7. So it's not great, but it's not impossible. It's not a 4% chance. But that's where, and the other name was Jason Tatum, that if he's available this summer. But speaking of a 4% chance, this is the other reason it's not great for the Pelicans. Right now they're in 9th place in the West, or 9th place in the 9th from the worst record in the NBA, pardon me. They have the 9th worst record in basketball. That would give them a 4.5% chance of getting Zion themselves, a 20% chance of getting a top 4 pick. But they're only a couple games better than the 6th worst team. The 6th worst team, Memphis, has a 9% chance at Zion Williamson and a 37% chance of a top 4 pick. They are incentivized to lose. They are incentivized to keep him healthy and to lose. But the flip side is they're also incentivized to not infuriate a fan base when the team could be moved in a few years. So they're balancing all of it.
Check out the injury fronts that they're watching. We know AD can't get hurt. That hurts them. What about Jason Tatum getting hurt?
Yeah.
And are any of the other players? Jaylen Brown, he can't get hurt either. What about Zion? He can't get hurt either. So now that's the huge risk if you don't trade him before the deadline and you want all these other teams, which is the smart. That is the most that's the most practical way to build. You want Boston in the game. Boston couldn't put their best offer out there before the trade deadline. So now you got all these other risks, but the NBA and its brand, it's going too hot and fast to have Anthony Davis a healthy scratch for the next 20.
Third of the season.
I also think you factor in some teams that may be, and who know, but in the middle of a playoff push or how they want to finish the season that may not want to shake up their roster or what they're doing that maybe potentially
what
this
if Houston
summer
wants
may
to get
make
in?
a trade.
Someone that wants to get in the game. I floated the name Denver. Like if there's a team that this summer says, you know what? I know he says, like, what if Kawhi stays in Toronto? And then all of a sudden, the track record is Paul George, trade me wherever, I'm going to L.A., and he stays. Kawhi, trade me wherever, I'm going to L.A., and he stays. Then maybe a team that will hear Anthony Davis say, trade me wherever, I'm going to L.A., say, you know what? Maybe won't. You know what I mean? I've heard
two of these guys had great experiences that changed where they wanted in Paul George and Kawhi.
Right. So then maybe there's a team, I just make up a name, Portland, that says, you know what? Like, the Dame CJ thing has run its course. We'll include a bunch of picks, one of these all-star caliber guys, bring him here and see if we can convince him to stay. Like, that's the entire NBA theoretically could open up as a trade partner that wasn't ready to do it this season. But the Pelicans are really waiting on Tatum. What the Pelicans are praying for is that the Celtics make the finals.
Sure.
Celtics make the finals. Kyrie is incentivized to stay. Then they don't mind trading Tatum. What the Pelicans hate the idea of more than anything other than injury is the Celtics get bounced by Milwaukee in the second round. Kyrie leaves, and then Tatum's not on the block. And then Dell Demps is going back to the Lakers saying, hey, man, you remember that offer? That's still available to me? That's the worst case
And the next
scenario.
press conference is the one he gets fired.
After that. But again, it's really not the Pelicans' decision where they sit him or not. The league is going to really push for him to play and not be a healthy scratch.
I think the Pelicans would like to feel like they were involved with the league.
Okay.
You know, because the Pelicans, you can't take away their power because they also have a responsibility to those season ticket holders.
Right.
And the Pelicans, I would argue, they could try to fight this. They could say the union can complain, the league can fine us, we're sitting him, we'll take it. But the union and the league would rather Anthony Davis play. He would rather play. Everyone would rather him play, except for the people running the Pelicans, who this has been a bad spot for them all along.
Sarah, always a great time when you're here.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Come back.
See you. I'll be back next week. I'll be back.
Basketball,
coffee, right?
Coffee is what it is.
Volleyball. We're gonna pepper. We're gonna pepper.
Should LeBron be concerned about two of his all-star teammates next on First Things First?
You said lunch. She said coffee. Next, it's going to be let's talk in the hallway.
Pepper, we were supposed
and then
to.
it's over.
She wants to hang out with me.